The Fawcett, and there's not very long, like about 2 minutes. And Senator Randon has 30 seconds.
Distribute that map, please, to the Secretary.
Mr.
Mrdak, I'm sure you'd be disappointed if I didn't come back to the issue of leased airports and the lot of operators on airports versus airport use. Just giving you a document here which is about pre-lease opportunities for land at Bankstown Airport. I've contacted the lease operator at Bankstown Airport. He was very prompt and very good about responding, saying that any approval for this land, you can see the hatched land here, covers an area of the airfield which for as long as most people can recall has been an aviation side of the airfield. It's where helicopters have taken off and landed. There's been formed helipads in there, so the expectation of people who've invested many hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions, in building their businesses adjacent to that land so they can use it is that that is operating part of the airfield. It's now up as a pre-lease opportunity which would essentially provide the opportunity to build infrastructure where these people need to operate aircraft to run their business. The leaseholder has come back and said, look, anything would be subject to assessment under the controls and building regulations, including consultation with adjacent tenants as required under the regulation of Airports Building Control Regulation 96, including approvals from the Airport Building Controller and the Airport Environment Controller. Given the context of NASAG and given the context of the lease conditions, which says that airports are scarce land and they should primarily be for aviation use, I'm happy to take it on notice, but could you respond as to the principles that the department will apply should an application come forward for this land to be developed for non-aviation use, or essentially to build infrastructure where for decades people have been landing and operating helicopters as part of their businesses at Bankstown Airport?
Certainly, Senator. I'm not familiar. I'll just check with my officers if we're familiar with this proposal, but I can just reiterate again the government's policy position that in any master plan it would not look favourably upon any reduction in aeronautical activity zoning at an airport like Bankstown. That's been made very clear by the Minister. I'll just check with my colleagues.
Well, this zoning was approved in a previous plan, but the issue is that the context upon which people look at that land is, we don't mind if there's other businesses built around the edge of this aviation operation, but what's being put forward to the broader marketplace is that all of this land is available for building of hardstand warehouses and other things.
Well, as I said, the government's been very clear on its view to maintain aeronautical activity. I'll have to check the status of this particular site. I'm not familiar. I'll just check with my officers as to whether we're familiar with this proposal. John?
I haven't looked at this proposal.
Senator, I'd have to take it on notice, and we'll come back to you with clear principles and also how we would handle such a proposal.
Sure. Very quick point. Chair's glaring at me there. Back to Evans Head Airfield, and I noticed that the Office of Airspace Regulation has declined to approve the fly neighbourly advice because of the proximity of residential areas to the aerodrome. And so on the basis of the fact that NASAG indicates that the Commonwealth Government is responsible for safety and that agencies like this are saying the buildings are too close to the airport to even approve a fly neighbourly agreement, which is constraining generally how people fly, to try and avoid things like noise impact, I'd ask you just to take on notice again what role the Commonwealth should be having for ALOP aerodromes, not from the, I hear what you said before, that it belongs to the council, you gave the council's money so they could develop it and use it for commercial purposes, but if the Commonwealth still retains under NASAG the responsibility for safety, which is not only for people on the ground but also for people in the air, developments like this, and some in Queensland, where literally in Queensland some of the houses are being built within a stone's throw of active aerodromes.
To ask you to come to the question, we are 4 minutes
Happy to have a
over.
look at that one.
Okay.
You're taking it on notice, or you can...
Yeah, no, on notice. Be good. Thanks.
If you can answer it very quickly in 10 seconds. Yeah.
No, can't answer it. Certainly, Senator, I understand this is an issue that's been raised with us in correspondence just in the last couple of weeks. I'm not sure whether it goes to a safety issue, but we'll certainly have a look at that. In relation to the broader issue, you're aware of the work that we're doing through NASAG to try and get cooperation from the states to control the development which could interfere. So trying to have some influence on what happens outside the boundary of the airport.
I reckon you've been
or on the
practicing that for a
airport.
while, Mr Duddy, because you told me you couldn't answer and then took you a minute to get that out. Well done. You guys are better than us, I'll tell you. There's no doubt about it. So I'm going to have to move. You've
Yep,
got
that's right.
30 seconds to put some on notice, send around, and then we're moving.